Hi everyone, it's Fara Gibson, psychic medium here, and I wanted to take some time to make a video for you today. I feel like I want to answer some of the most common questions about when a loved one passes, what happens to them, can they see us, can they hear us, do they know how much I love them, all of those things that people really run through their mind and carry guilt for or heaviness. And I want to try to lighten your heart today with some knowledge, because I feel like the more that we know, the less we fear. And if I can bring peace to your heart in this video today, then I'm going to try to do that the best I can. We walk through this world for very different reasons, but each and every one of us is here for the very same purpose, and that's growth, and it's soul's growth. Whether you came to be challenged by others or be the challenge for others, each and every one of us has an amazing purpose here in life to live, and our growth is really truly achieved through imperfections in this world. Your struggles are where your strength has come from the moment that you were born. And those struggles have made you who you are today, and they're growing your soul each and every day that you walk on this earth. Not every soul in heaven lives a life, so be proud of yourself and where you're standing, because not everyone does what you and I are doing today, and that's living. And living isn't easy to do. And I want you to know that you have a 100% track record of making it through everything that life has thrown your way this far, and those are pretty amazing odds. Be proud of where you're standing. And be proud of yourself for making this journey. And let's talk about what happens when we're through with this journey. So the moment that you pass to heaven, whether it's illness, tragedy, whether it's a car accident, whether it's murder, no matter what type of way that you pass, you are filled with more love than you could ever imagine feeling. The millisecond that you pass to heaven, you're filled with pure perfection in every way. You're outside of this body. The millisecond that you pass, this is a car that your spirit is driving through this world for your purpose. And when your car won't travel in this world for whatever reason, whether it's a car accident, whether it's dementia, whether it's cancer, whether it's a tragedy, no matter what reason that we pass away, the car is the only thing that dies. The car is the only thing that stops going. Your spirit within you is eternal. You existed long before this car ever did in this human earthly life that you're living right now. And you will continue to live long after, because we're eternal in heaven. And I do believe in God. I don't want to challenge anyone's faith or belief. So if you don't choose to believe in God, that's totally fine. But I do believe that each and every one of us is made of God's light. That's pretty amazing, and it's pretty perfect. So know that within you is pure perfection, no matter how terrible you may have signed up to be as a human being in this world. As we journey through this world, we go through lots of ups and downs and moments of growth for ourselves and for others. And so when we return to heaven, one of the first things I want you to understand is the millisecond that you're past, your loved ones can hear you, they can see you, they can hear your thoughts to them, they can hear your words to them. There is not one moment that they're missing out on, because they're free from this body, and now they're able to be amongst your days each and every day that you live, and still enjoy the perfection of heaven at the same time. So when people say, well, can you tell them that I love them, and do they know how much I miss them? And somebody told me that my tears are holding them back. Number one, you don't need me to tell your loved ones that you love them. I can promise you that they hear your thoughts and they hear your words. You can tell them each and every day how much you love them, and they hear you. And number two, your tears are made of love. Don't you let anybody tell you not to cry them, or that you're holding them back from heaven. There is not a damn thing in this world that you could do to hold them back from heaven. I can tell you that right now. So if anybody ever tells you that mumbo jumbo crap, throw it out the window, because it does not exist. You cannot hold them back from heaven. You're not bringing them down and keeping them earthly bound because you're crying tears. Your tears are made of love. The only thing that they feel when you cry tears is your love. And they know that you're really working through your grief, and that's not an easy thing to do. And that's part of the growth that they've blessed you with. Why on earth would that hold them back? Okay, so we're going to keep going. So the millisecond that they pass, they're filled with pure love. They can hear and see their family always. And then they get to go into what I call a life review. And when we go into a life review, when we pass, we get to watch our life over and over again from the perspective of everyone that we ever shared our life with. So sometimes I'll have a loved one worry like, well, but they didn't know how much I loved them through that addiction, or, that I was just really trying to get them to be a better person, or whatever it is, right? Or, did they know how much I love them? Did, we had hard moments. Was it, all of those things, those questions, those guilts, like I tried to take care of them when they were sick and I don't feel like I did enough, and all of those things. I want you to know that they review their life through the eyes of everyone that they ever touched with their life. So they're going to get to review their life through your eyes as the caregiver, for them when they were sick, and see how much effort and amazing, love that you gave to them, and put your life aside in honor of that love for them and trying. And yeah, they're going to see how they were challenging to you when they were sick, and they're crabby and they're grumpy, and that's not hard to work through, and it's hard to really like put those things aside sometimes as the caregiver and go, gosh, they've just been so harping on me today. And, I'm trying my best, and you get stressed, and, maybe you snap at them or something, and you yell back. And, then that's a moment you're not proud of, but really it's just a moment of growth. It's a moment of understanding that perspective, and they get to see it from your perspective too, and go, ooh, I was really tough on them, and they still loved me through it, and they still took care of me. Or whether it's an addict, that you love them, but you can't have them in your space because you have to honor other people around, or maybe you don't want your stuff stolen, or whatever it is, right? And the addict that they were in life is no longer an addict in heaven. And so when they get to watch those things from a place of pure love and see how they challenged you, they're proud of those challenges, because their addiction was meant to be. Their addiction is something that they wrote. It grew you and grew them in ways that nobody would have grown without that addiction. How amazing are they for living that life in honor of your growth and theirs? And how amazing are you for writing a life to join them on that addiction journey? Even if you wrote them off as a family member a little bit and had to, kick them out and tell them they couldn't come back. Man, how hard is that from a place of pure love as a family member? Like, we still love them even though they're addicts. We just don't want the addict around. Like, come around when you're clean, but don't come around when you're dirty. I get it. I have addicts in my family as well. It doesn't mean we love them any less. And so when they go through that life review that they lived as an addict, they get to see those moments from pure perfection and pure love, and see how loved they are in the family, and how many people really were pulling for them and trying to help them to get clean. And, they weren't choosing it to see it themselves in life. And that's okay, because it's part of their journey. They grew faster than you and I. They passed away to heaven. Why? Because they're more beautiful than you and me, and they reached their soul's growth that they intended long before they ever came here. But no matter what the life that they lived, they get to go into this soul review, and they get to watch their life from every perspective. And when I say every perspective, I mean your teachers, your fellow students that you went to school with, your family, your friend dynamic, your coworkers, the strangers on the street, the guy that checked you out at the grocery store, the stranger in the elevator at a freaking hotel. Did you say hi to them that day? And maybe they needed that the most. And you can see from their perspective how that hello made a simple impact on their entire day that day, and maybe saved their life from taking it because somebody gave them just a moment of hello. You never know your impact on this world until you watch your life through the eyes of everyone you ever touched with it. And I say that's it's an amazing thing that we get to do in heaven. It's a blessing. We get to watch that life over and over from the pure place of love in heaven. There are no negative thoughts, feelings, or emotions in heaven. So we don't watch our life over again with regrets. Instead, we watch over our life with moments of opportunity and growth that we recognize. And we do see how we could have done things different, or maybe we were meant to handle that moment as a jerk because we wrote to be the jerk in life. Because how are we supposed to have imperfect moments if somebody doesn't sign up to be the jerk? Abuse, neglect, all of those things are things that we ask of others when we write our soul plan. Not easy to write to be a life of an abuser, to live the karmic energy of being an abuser in life, to possibly go to jail, to possibly lose everything that you have and end up homeless, as an addict, right? Like all of these things that we write from the pure perfection of heaven, we're writing them from heaven. So we don't realize how terrible abuse is going to be to walk through, or we don't realize how terrible, an addiction is going to be to walk through, whether it's from the an addict standpoint or from the family standpoint. We're writing these things from the pure perfection of heaven for our growth and for the growth of others. And so going back to that life review, we find pride in those moments that we made it through. We find love in the moments that we were blessed with. We find opportunity for growth and opportunity that we could have changed. And again, that's not regret. It's just learning. It's growth. And that's okay. So when we pass to heaven, we can immediately hear and see our loved ones. We're present for that millisecond of our passing. We're there to see who was with us and surrounding us with love when we pass from an illness. We're there to see who was the first one on scene when we passed in a vehicle accident. We're there to see who it was that found us in a room when we passed away from an overdose or a heart attack, with a spouse that's waking up next to us that we passed in our sleep, and we're there for that moment that the spouse wakes up and sees that we're in heaven. But we're not sitting in that moment in terror from heaven. We're sitting in that moment from the pure perfection and love of heaven's light. And for them, like you guys, for us, it's terrifying walking through a passing on the human sense. It's sad. It's, if love could have saved them, they would have lived forever. We would have kept them around if it was up to us, right? All of those things are like, there's truth in those words. But the reality of it is you're not meant to save them. And not only are you not meant to save them, but you maybe are meant to be a part of that terrifying moment, right? But from our human perspective, it's terrifying. It's terrible to see somebody pass, especially tragically, especially if there's like a lot of tragedy involved, whether it's an accident or, any kind of tragedy. I guess there's too many to name. But, on heaven's side, you guys, it's just much lighter. It's when they get to heaven, it's their story to tell. It's their story to tell about their life and how they graduated back to heaven. So it's their sit the hell down, guess how I got here story, whether it's cancer, whether it's dementia, whether it's a car accident, whether it's a tragedy, maybe I fell off a damn mountain, you know what I mean? And that's my sit the fuck down, guess how I got here. Son of a gun, man, I'm hiking up a mountain and I lose my footing and son of a bitch slipped down 100 feet. My buddy couldn't catch me, and everybody in heaven's like, shoot, man, I just went the cancer route, man, that couldn't have been easy. No, it wasn't easy. I 2 years of cancer and and treatments, and my family walking through every step with me, really sick, every step of the way. But man, they never gave up, and they gave me opportunities to make choices for my own plan with my illness. Wow, that's cool. How'd you go? And man, son of a gun, I was in the passenger seat of a car. My girlfriend's driving. Shit, she lost control of the vehicle on ice. We slid right off the road, flipped like 3 times. Son of a bitch, I was ejected. You should have seen that. You should have seen the first guy that came across me after I was ejected. All of these things are their story, and it's light in heaven. Now, walk back through those things on a human sense, and they're terrible, right? Walking through a cancer journey with somebody that you love, watching them starve because they simply can't eat anymore, and they lose their mobility and they lose every bit of who they are. And then they're in bed and they're so sick, and we can't do anything to bring peace to their life because they're just waiting to go to heaven. And we get to this point where we're just begging them to just go because we can't see them live like this anymore. It's not fair to ask them to stay, or maybe we're the ones who walked through that, that car accident, and we're the first ones that's coming across, and we see this car just go off the road in the ice and flip, and we see this young girl and young boy that have just been ejected from this vehicle, and they're both absolutely passed to heaven. There's nothing we can do to help save them, and we're just amongst blood and tragedy and all of those things. On the human sense, they're terrible. But it was much lighter when they were telling the story in heaven, right? Heaven is amazing. There's no negativity. There's no weight in heaven that they carry. There's no guilt. There's no frustration. So even if they were terrible to you in life, I want you to know that they grow from those moments. When they get to heaven, they do that life review. They're not holding a grudge. Nobody's waiting in heaven to knock somebody out when they get there. It's not how it works. So know that when you get there, you'll realize that those are moments you asked for. Some people in our lives are meant to be jerks in order to give us the growth that we came here and we intended for our journey. And that's okay. I went through a lot growing up. Abuse in many different ways, whether it was my stepmom or my ex-husband. And, I looked back on those moments and I wouldn't change any of them now, because my stepmom taught me how never to be a mom in life. And she taught me how never to be a stepmom when I became one. And I was only 5 when she came into my life, and it was tough. Looking back on those moments, again, I would walk through them all over again to make me the mom that I am now. because I'm amazing because of her example of how not to be. And, when I was with my ex, he was very jealous, very controlling, and he was extremely verbally abusive as well as physically abusive. There's moments that my kids will never forget watching their dad physically abuse me. But I wouldn't change one of those moments, because now that I've walked through all those moments, and on a human level, I look back and I go, man, I wish I would have left sooner. I wish I wouldn't have, put up with it that long. But the reality was, I was meant to walk through it every moment that I did, because now my girls who watch their mom walk through all of those terrible moments, they don't accept that abuse in their life. They know their worth because of me not realizing mine. And if that's a lesson I walked through in honor of their growth and mine, I'd walk through it all over again. And it made me who I am today. I have realized my worth today. And that's an amazing place to be. I did leave that relationship, and I have a new husband now who is amazing, and there's no jealousy between us, and he's loving and he's romantic. And, I think long-term relationships are a little bit of fuck you, and then you like each other the next day. And there's always going to be those imperfect moments. But at the same time, I couldn't imagine my life without the husband that I have in it now, not for one day. And that's what's great. Because I found the strength to leave my ex, I found greatness in my love life. And that's an amazing place to be as well. Life plans and soul plans are so intertwined with one another. Each and every person that you have in your life is either challenging you for your growth or lifting and supporting you through your journey. And all of those are very important dynamics, whether they're the challenger or whether they're the person who's lifting and supporting you through your days. And each and every one of us is here for a purpose. And that's amazing, you guys. If you look around you, every single person in this world that's living is living a life in honor of growth for themselves and for each and every person around them. Everyone's amazing. And it's all a well-oiled machine. In order to have positive, we have to have challenge. And in order to have challenge, we have to have positive. And in order to make it through this life, we have to have some glimpse of heaven, and that's love. Why? Why do we always search for pure love in this world? Why? We just want to be loved. We just want a good day. We just want happiness. We just want that ultimate vacation, that we're on the beach and everything, whatever your ultimate vacation is. Maybe yours is not the beach. Maybe mine is. But we're constantly yearning for pure perfection and love. And the reason you're constantly yearning for pure perfection and love is because it's where you came from. You came from heaven. Heaven is pure perfection. It's pure love. Yes, we work in heaven, but we work in souls different ways. Like, we don't have to do construction in heaven. We don't have to do fast food in heaven. We don't have to work regular 9-to-5 jobs in heaven. We don't even have to wear watches in heaven. It's perfect. There's no sense of time in heaven because heaven's timing is eternal. So your soul purpose here is full of work and hard days and days without love and days of just grief and terror and defeat and disappointment. But when you get to heaven, you're filled with pure love. When you get to heaven and you get to watch over your family, there's not a moment that you miss. I want you to, like, a lot of people go, oh, well, they didn't get to see my first baby, or they didn't get to see my wedding. Not only do they see it, they're a part of it. They get to hold your babies in heaven first. And they get to absolutely be present in your wedding. They're never absent from your days. They're actually more present now from heaven than they ever would have been in life, because in life, maybe they weren't living with you. Maybe they were living in another home. And now they're literally able to see you and be a part of heaven at the same time. Oh, and so-and-so's house over there too. They can see that one at the same time too, because we're boundless in heaven, which is pretty freaking amazing. There's not a milestone that they're going to miss out on. They're going to be there for your wedding. They're going to be there for your babies. They're going to be there when you buy your first house. And they're so amazingly proud of you always. You couldn't disappoint them. There's not a moment that you can disappoint them. You can't make a wrong decision. You can't, why? You're living life. Life's meant to be imperfect. They're watching over you with pride, going, wow, you're still doing it. And they've already graduated. They're more beautiful than you and I because they've already graduated, but they're not missing out on anything. And if anything else, man, they get to watch it from pure perfection. You're not disappointing them. You're not making them sad for the decisions that you're making or the things that you're doing wrong. Your stumbles are meant to be. Your stumbles are meant to be for your growth or for the growth of others. they understand that. They understand that you're not supposed to be perfect, and they're okay with that because they weren't perfect themselves either. Nobody's perfect here in the human world. We're perfect in heaven. We're all made of God's light in heaven. And here we're driving around these imperfect vehicles with our beautiful souls within. But I want you to know, again, we live life in honor of the growth of others. When we pass, we do a life review. Once that life review is done, we may intend new growth for a new life. But it takes about 100 years in our earthly timing to plan another life, I say. So a lot of people ask me, like, wait, what if they're not there because they do believe in reincarnation? If you don't believe in reincarnation, please throw what I'm saying out the window. That's totally fine. I never want to challenge your faith or beliefs. I do believe we have opportunities to live multiple lives and multiple dynamics. And so for that reason, when we get back to heaven, if we've done our life review and we've decided that we still want to do some more, we want a new journey with new types of growth, we have that opportunity to write that. And we can still join this lifetime over and over again with some of the same souls or all of the same souls that we joined with this life. Nobody's made to live another life. Excuse me. It really truly is a choice that we're given with free will. And so for that reason, sorry, had to get a drink. For that reason, you will have the ability to live a life over and over again and come back for growth, or sit this one out and just watch it from heaven while the others go back. But again, it takes about 100 years in our lifetime to plan another life. So I say that your loved ones typically haven't reincarnated and come back in your lifetime. You don't have to worry about that so much. They'll still be there when you get back to heaven in pure perfection. And they'll get to welcome you home. And maybe you go, you know what, you can go ahead and go back and live a life. I'm going to sit this one out this time because that was tough. And you'll just sit it out and let somebody else fill in that lifetime with them in the new dynamic that they've written for themselves. And that's okay as well. So I know, because I always say that, like, this is it for me. This is the last time I'm coming. This place is crap. I remember how amazing heaven is. And I feel like I come back to help other souls with their growth and opportunities for that. But I feel like this might be the last lifetime Farah comes back for. You'll choose when you get there, and I will too. I say that now in the human sense. Maybe I get back there and go, you know what, I'm doing this like 20 more times. So although our human minds have opinions, our souls sometimes have other ideas when we get back to heaven. But hopefully this has brought some peace to your heart today. Again, your loved ones are seeing you, they're hearing you, they're present for your days. They're still enjoying the beauty of heaven and the perfection of heaven. You have a home in heaven that you came from long before you ever came into this body. You simply return to it when you get back to heaven. You have a place that you've been for an eternity before this life. And it's really hard to separate human mind from spirit, because we're living this human experience right now. So it's very common to really think of things in the human, but wait a minute, will they be there? Will they be there? Are you kidding me? They were there before. They were there so closely when you wrote this dynamic that they're going to be back in the same place that they were. And the jerks in your life aren't going to be jerks in heaven. You're going to high five them and say, thanks for the lessons. And the people that loved you the most and lifted you up, you're going to high five them and say, thanks for the lessons too, and thanks for keeping me going. But we're all intertwined and we're all amazing. And your loved ones, no matter how they passed, are in pure perfection. Remember, it's their story to tell. It's their cool ass story to tell. Some of them have a pretty amazing, unique story to tell, because I've walked through some crazy freaking passings, you guys. And, and I don't know what my story will be. And no matter what it is, I'm sure I'll tell it when I get there, and I'll tell it with love in my heart. And my family here will be sad that I'm gone, and that's okay, because that just means that I left love behind for them, just as your loved ones have left love behind for you. Your sadness and your grief come from pure love, and don't be sorry for that. You can't just get over it. You can't just get through it. You're going to work through it the best that you can each and every day, and that's amazing. You're amazing. So hopefully this helps to put a little bit of perspective for you guys, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I'm going to go have a cocktail.